Hi, I'm Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate a very classic quilt block called the log cabin. Now before I get started, what I want to do is to remind you that you can always get images of quilt blocks on the internet, and that's exactly what I do. I look at images to get ideas on how I want to put a block together. But the log cabin is so classic that you will see dozens and dozens of images there. So if you want to see them, go into the internet. In the search block, enter log cabin quilt block, and then scroll down a couple of websites or two or three, and you will see one that says images of log cabin quilt block. Click on that, and like I said, dozens will appear and you'll see all kinds of samples. So let's take a look at some of the ones that I printed out. Now this particular style is actually one of my favorites, is this particular look here, where you have all light background on this side, and then on this side you have all dark background with a solid square in the middle. All these fabrics have the same color in common, which is red, and that's why I think this block looks so pretty, is that it has one common color. All right, let's take a look at another sample. Now here's one where they used a variety of colors and prints in this, and this is another way of doing the log cabin. And then here's another one. This one's very striking. All darks, solids, with a solid square, and then of course all solid pastels on this side. So there's a very sharp contrast in this one. And then here's another one where it's pretty dark overall, but there's blues and greens here, and then there's reds and purples, and then there's this kind of yellow in the middle. A whole nother look altogether. Now here's one you can print out that gives you the basic layout of the log cabin. Okay, and it just labels it A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way around. Now here's one that I really like because it actually numbers it, okay? So you know exactly the stitching order. As you're doing this, you're going in a clockwise direction all the way around. You just keep going out and around, all in the same direction. Now, all of my strips that I'm using in my block are going to be 2 inches wide. And by the way, the finished size of the block I'm demonstrating is 11 by 11. But it all depends on the size of your strips and how many rows you want to do, because you can keep going out and out and out and building this thing forever. Okay, so as you're looking at this, I've highlighted all the dark over here, and then this is the light. And this little blue square is going to be my color that is going to be different from everything else. So it can be a solid or just a very dark print to help bring out all the colors in the block. Now down here I've listed the sizes to cut per block. So you're going to cut one of each of these. So your A square, which is this one right here, is 2 by 2 inches. Then that's the only one out of your A fabric you're going to cut. Out of B, you'll need one that's 2 by 4, 2 by 5.5, 2 by 7, 2 by 8.5, 2 by 10, 2 by 11.5. Out of your C fabric, which is the light, you're going to need one square that is 2 by 2. Then it goes on and gets progressively bigger. 2 by 4, 2 by 5.5, 2 by 7, 2 by 8.5, and 2 by 10. Okay, Now, this is the sample of the block that I am going to be doing here. So here's all of my darks in here. They have different prints on it, but it has one color that's common in all of them, which is this bluish green color, or dull blue, okay, whatever you want to call it. And that's what I used here. And then here are all of my light prints. Each one of these lights is also a different print. You'd have to get really close, but you can see they're different prints. They're not the same fabric. Now, if you have never cut quilt fabric before, and this is really important that you know how to cut these strips out, otherwise you're going to be for days cutting strips. So I want to show you very briefly how to do it. When you purchase your fabric, it's folded in half, selvage edge to selvage edge. Usually your ends are jagged, so you need to straighten one end. Line up the edge of your fabric on a straight line on your cutting mat. Then take a long ruler, one of those 24-inch rulers, and with a rotary cutter, cut this edge straight. Then move your ruler over every couple of inches and cut every 2 inches, and then cut again. Now, like I said, if you've never done this before, please watch that video. I go into very detailed instructions on how to cut quilt fabric. Once you've got your strips cut, if you're going to do a big quilt, okay, a really large quilt, you want to cut them a little faster. So I would stack about 2 of these strips and then take your ruler, cut the selvage edges off with a rotary cutter, okay? Then move your ruler down to that cut edge and begin cutting either your 2-inch squares, or if you're cutting 4-inch strips, you keep moving it over until you've got what you need cut. Now, for this, if you're just going to build one block, all you're going to need is 1 strip of each color, 1 strip. After you've got your strips cut out, even if you're only doing just 1 sample block, you want to lay them out in the order that you're going to be stitching. And even if you're going to do a lot of them, it's really important you do this. Take all your pieces that you've cut, put them in the little piles in the order. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You want to do this because as you're sewing, you might pick up the wrong strip and then you've got to rip it out later or have to cut more strips. So if you do this, you know exactly where to reach to grab the next strip. So that's really important. Okay, now that you're set up, you're ready to go, take your A and C 2-inch squares, and you're going to bring them front sides together. And along this edge right here, you're going to come in 1/4 inch and stitch. Then press on the back side and unfold and press the seam on top. Now don't finger press. Please use your iron. You'll get much better results. And when you press this seam on top, push this seam towards the A fabric. Okay, so now this is 1, 2, 3. Take that fabric. Here's 3. Now you'll notice that it's longer. I purposely cut all of the strips 1/2 inch longer, and I included that in the instructions I gave you. So that's already factored in. So now bring them on top and make sure you've got a little bit of overhang, okay? at each end of this next piece of fabric. Then stitch along here, 1/4 inch seam right along here. Then press. Here it is. Now you want to unfold, press the seam on top. Now this next part will explain why you have an overhang. You're going to get better results if you do it this way, because we're going to do an exact cut to fit this. All right, so you want to not only line it up on this edge, but you want to line your ruler up on this edge. So put it there, find a straight line there going this way, and then once you've got it lined up with your rotary cutter, go ahead and trim this edge off. And then you're going to turn the block around, line up your ruler again, and trim this side off. And when you're done, it's going to look like this. Okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're going to switch from light to dark. So from now on, you're always going to do 2 lights in a row, then you'll skip to 2 darks in a row. So here's the dark. Again, remember, my strips are longer. Put it on top. Stitch 1/4 inch. Press. Then unfold and press again. On top, pushing this seam towards this strip. Now, I've already trimmed my edges off. But remember, don't forget to do that. Line up your ruler this way and this way to trim off those edges. So you trim it off at both ends. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here it is. Here's 5. Put it on top. Stitch, press, unfold, press, and trim. Now it's going to look like this. So now you've got 2 here, 2 lights, 2 darks. This is your next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's going to be the light fabric. So put that on, stitch 1/4 inch, press, unfold, press, trim. Then the next one, let me show you what this looks like. Here it is. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here we go. Bring it on top. Do everything the same again. You're just going to keep going. Stitch, press, trim. Now it looks like this. So we've done 2 darks here, 2 lights here. Now we go back to dark. And you're going to keep doing this process until you are done. I've just completed 4 log cabin blocks. So now I want to give you some suggestions on how to lay it out if you want to put this into a quilt. So here's one way. Very, very basic direction here. You can have all your darks and lights going in the same direction. So everything could look like this. Now I'm going to show you some other ways. Now, if you just wanted to do it like this, I want to mention one other thing. You could put your sashing strips in it. So you could either attach the 2 blocks here, or you could put sashing in between each of the squares. That's a couple of ways of doing it, with or without sashing. Now, let me show you one of my favorite ways of doing this. And this way. This has a really nice dramatic look, especially if you're making a great big quilt. Now, this would also make a great pillow for your bed. This is a very, very classic way of doing it. It's one of my favorites. Now let me show you my most favorite. Is where all of the darks come together. I don't know why it is my favorite, but I really, really like it. Okay, here it is. Now you could do one of these blocks in a quilt and then lay your sashing around it if you wanted to. And put it all around. Or, let me show you another way, which is one of my favorites, is I'm going to move this over. It's like playing with a puzzle. You know, you just keep putting the pieces together till you get it the way you like it. So you could have several of these made like this. Can you kind of see how this would look nice in a big quilt? You would just keep building these big blocks and piecing them together. Or if you wanted to, you could lay your sashing in between these big blocks like that to kind of highlight them. Remember, it's your quilt. You should be able to do whatever you want with it. And you just keep building the sashing around this. Now, if you're a beginner, Mr. Cameraman, why don't you focus up here? There you go. If you are a beginner and this looks like this is a bit much for you, use scrap fabrics. If you don't have scrap fabrics, go to the store and buy the cheapest fabrics you can. Go to the clearance table and buy just small pieces of maybe 5 or 6 different fabrics, 1/4 yard, 1/8 of a yard, whatever, and practice. It's really important you do that, because the more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. And when you feel ready and you want to do a big quilt or a really pretty pillow, then I recommend you buy some more expensive fabric. Well, I hope some of you try this block. It is a lot of piecing. Can be very tedious if you don't approach it right. Now, if you want to keep informed on all of my future videos, and many of my videos are beginner projects. This one's a little more intermediate to advanced. You need to click on subscribe. There's a subscribe button down in the lower right hand corner. It's red, real easy to find. You can click on that. Or you can click on the round picture of my face in the upper left hand corner. When you do that, YouTube is going to prompt you for your email address. Enter that information, and also you're going to see a little bell shape icon. Click on that, and that will get you a notification right away if you do that. So make sure you click on the little bell. Once you do that, everything's in there. YouTube's going to send you a very brief email with a big button in the center. You click on it and it'll take you directly to my latest video. I'm Cheryl, and I'm so glad you came to my sewing room, and I'll see you next time, and happy sewing.